Lately, I've been covering a lot of great wrestling shows and great wrestling matches on this channel. From the 1997 stuff on Reliving the War to the hand-picked matches such as Shawn Michaels vs The Undertaker and all the highlights from the new generation. Here's the thing though, sometimes with pro wrestling, you just want to watch something truly awful just for laughs. It helps us appreciate the good times better, and it makes us question what on earth a promotion was thinking when they booked a terrible match, a terrible promo, or they introduced something that just completely falls flat on its face. The bad times in wrestling gets just as much attention as the good times, and rightfully so. There's nothing like watching a good old train wreck sometimes, and hey, we should never take pro wrestling seriously anyway. You can't let stuff that happened 20 odd years ago get you angry. It's funny to look back on. With all the great wrestling I've had the privilege of watching over these past few months, I thought it was time to get my hands dirty and watch something bad. And when we think about bad wrestling shows, WCW Thunder springs to mind instantly. I already talked about how the show was created and how Thunder was more of a headache than an actual opportunity. And as time went on, Thunder would become more and more of an afterthought. Eventually, WCW would hold 2 episodes of Thunder on one night. The first episode was live, the second was taped for the following week. This sounds straightforward enough, but when you have live nitros going on every week too, you gotta be careful about what you put on that taped Thunder show. Everything gets booked in advance, and an injury or a short notice change of direction could make Thunder nonsensical. So this leads to the taped episodes always being uneventful and pretty boring. Kevin Nash talked about this in a shoot interview. He explained how booking 4 live Nitros, 2 live Thunders, and 2 taped Thunders during one creative meeting would cause massive problems, considering the guys who had limited dates, guys who said, "That doesn't work for me, brother," guys who got injured, planned title changes, storylines evolving, things of that nature. Planning ahead wasn't a WCW strong point, so the easiest thing to do was to throw together Thunder episodes that didn't mean anything on the grand scheme of things. Still, every now and then they'd try to do something to make the shows worth watching, but most of the time, especially in 2000, the show sucked balls. I reached out to you guys to get some inspiration for the hell I'm about to put myself through today. I wanted to find the worst episodes of Thunder, or at least some that are comically bad. I got some suggestions from viewers. David Arquette winning the world title came up a few times. Someone suggested the final episode of Thunder as being one of the worst. OSW Review covered the October 15th, 1998 Thunder, and people felt that it couldn't get much worse than that. Maybe because it was a gentle reminder of how Thunder was usually a big old load of nothing. As the day went on, more and more suggestions came rolling in, and I thought, hey, this could actually be a series. There's so much crap on WCW Thunder that this is something I could come back to a few times, a dead horse that I could flog over and over again. And then I thought, hey, why just limit this to Thunder? Why not expand this to cover all of the absolute nonsense we witnessed in WCW, especially during the later days? I made a first cut of this video that went on Patreon where I said this will be a Thunder only show named Thunder Blunder. I also announced this on Twitter, but I'm gonna change that. I've dropped Thunder from the name. So welcome to WCW Blunder, a mini-series covering all sorts of WCW bullshittery. Yeah, I'm keeping that Blunder name because I like it. WCW Blunder. Now, to be clear, sometimes I'll cover full WCW TV episodes and sometimes I'll just cover moments, matches and promos, if there's enough to talk about. I'm already doing the full episode thing on Reliving the War, so I'll use Blunder to change things up a little and give myself a little more free rein. Although, for episode 1, we are going to check out a whole Thunder episode, because this one had a running theme that was truly something else. This is some prime WCW bullshit you're going to see here today, folks. Also, this won't be weekly. I'm not going to put pressure on myself to get one of these out on a schedule, but I do want to build up a little library of WCW nonsense, because there is quite a lot to look at. So, the idea started as a WCW Thunder exclusive show, but I've opened up the doors for all sorts of WCW shenanigans. Everything's welcome on WCW Blunder. The 3rd of May 2000 episode of Thunder is what we'll be looking at today, where every match is contested under New York rules. Was this episode held in New York? Fuck no, it was held in Memphis, but never mind that. What exactly is a New York match? Well, every match on the show does not have a referee. but matches can only end via pinfall or submission. So who counts the pinfalls and who checks for submissions? Well, the wrestlers do. Yeah, let that sink in for a moment. You pin your opponent and you count to 3. Easy payday, brother. Fast count that shit and run out of the building. This all happened during the Millionaires Club vs New Blood rivalry, so it's straight out of the Vince Russo playbook, although Eric Bischoff was also lending a hand in the creative department too. And really, what we end up with is a perfect example of way too much chaos creating a messy, incoherent parody of a wrestling show. Now, you might think this actually could be fun and you might bring up the old, well, at least it's something different argument. I'm guilty of doing that too when I try to see the good in things, but the show feels so out of control, so thrown together, and so ridiculous that it almost becomes a joke. But let's see how this taped episode of Thunder all came together. We're 4 days away from Slamboree 2000, the one with the triple cage WCW World Title match featuring David Arquette, Jeff Jarrett and Diamond Dallas Page, and also the one with possibly the worst pay-per-view poster in the history of pay-per-view posters. Our commentary team of Tony Schiavone, Mike Tenay and Bobby Heenan hype up the Slamboree main event before letting us know that the Millionaires Club and a few allies are waiting outside for the New Blood to arrive. We see a limo pull up to the arena, the Millionaires Club and their mates run out, and they jump Vince Russo, Eric Bischoff and a few other New Blood guys who were in the limo, including Buff Bagwell and Shane Douglas. We come back from a commercial break and Russo's absolutely livid that the New Blood guys who were already in the arena didn't bother to help, so he rounds up the troops and the whole faction goes to the ring to cut a promo. Miss Elizabeth is being held by the New Blood against her will, by the way. We won't get into why, but just keep it in mind. Russo calls out the Millionaires Club and their friends, and Russo says the New Blood is going to war tonight due to the unprovoked attack at the top of the show. Vince is going to put everyone's name in his boot and draw names to face the New Blood. Why a boot and not a hat? I don't know. I'm sure someone had a fucking hat. And Russo says the matches are going to be contested under New York rules. No holds barred, no referee, the wrestlers count the pinfalls. Every match on Thunder will be contested in this fashion, by the way. Well, all except the main event, but that too is a giant clusterfuck anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Ric Flair has some choice words for Vince Russo.
Take a look at who you're talking to, dipshit!
Flair says the elite are standing at the entranceway and there's no way the New Blood can beat this collection of superstars, so the challenge gets accepted. The babyfaces then storm the ring and we have another brawl. The New Blood get out of harm's way and yeah, it's messy. You can see Dallas Page getting frustrated with the amount of people bumping into him. Russo runs away, the babyfaces are left in the ring with security, and 15 minutes have passed on Thunder, including commercial time, and there hasn't been a match yet. Fortunately, a match happens next. It's Double J versus Kanyon. Jarrett says he handpicked Kanyon to fight tonight on Thunder, so one match in and that whole thing about pulling names from Russo's boot has already been thrown down the toilet. And yes, I know he's the chosen one, but it still takes away from the whole theme of random guys facing the New Blood. Kimberly then takes time to cut a promo on DDP, and when I say she takes the time, I mean she takes the time. She talks longer than what Jarrett did, and if you combine Kimberly and Jarrett's promos, it's actually longer than the Jarrett vs Kanyon match. The match is a whole 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Basically, Kimberly says everything Page achieved in WCW was thanks to Eric Bischoff, and everything he's achieved as a man is because of Kimberly. She calls the fans lame marks. She says Page needs to hurry up with the divorce papers. It all gets zero reaction. Kanyon comes out and the two fight outside the ring. We get bumps at the guardrails, bumps at the ring steps. They get inside the ropes where they do some more work before once again going back to the outside. There's more fighting by the guardrails, Jarrett uses a steel chair, and then it dawns on you that every match on this show is probably going to play out in the exact same fashion. I mean, what else can they do except maybe use different weapons? Kimberly tries to get involved, but DDP comes out and he takes away Double J's guitar from his wife. He then gives her a hug, and then he smashes the guitar over her head. That's his wife, guys. Fucking hell. Page then wins the match for Kanyon when he hits a diamond cutter on Double J, and Kanyon counts his own pin. Gonna be honest, this isn't too bad because it's the first New York Rules match that you'll see on the show, but there's no way this novelty won't wear off by the end of Thunder. So that's 1 point for the Millionaires Club, 0 for the New Blood. Russo is naturally pissed off backstage, but he's going to send the Wall out to destroy Lex Luger. Now, it isn't made clear, but this is a tables match that also doesn't have a referee. Obviously, you win by putting your opponent through a table, so you won't need to count your own pin. What's the point? Why is there no referee? Don't even think about sitting down to watch this tables match here because there's so many distractions. First, Russo comes down to the ring with Liz. This was all done to distract Luger. Russo goes on commentary, and then Ric Flair comes down. He too joins the commentary desk just to make sure Russo doesn't screw Lex over. The competitors in the ring play nice, they don't use any weapons, they aren't really fighting dirty, there's no issues. On the outside, Russo hits Flair with a bat, he passes the bat to the Wall, but the Wall drops it when Luger gets him up for the torture rack. Russo ends up using the bat instead, Vince whacks Luger, Luger falls back, but it's the Wall who goes through the table and the total package wins. Russo then challenges Flair to get in the ring. Flair jumps in, and Russo then uses Liz as a shield. Liz kicks Russo in the balls, Buff Bagwell and Shane Douglas then come out to attack Flair, and then Chronic come out to attack the franchising Bagwell. We aren't done yet, by the way. Billy Kidman then shows up, and what do you know, he stuck his hand in Vince Russo's boot, and he drew out Ric Flair's name. So we now go straight to a Ric Flair versus Billy Kidman match on Thunder. I need to take a break already. So, Nature Boy Ric Flair. You kinda associate Slick Rick with the traditions of the NWA in the early days of World Championship Wrestling. Here he is, wrestling a Vince Russo New York match on Thunder against Billy Kidman. Nothing against Kidman, by the way, excellent talent and a standout during these dark days of WCW. But Flair versus Kidman on Thunder in this kind of match in the year 2000, it just doesn't feel right, does it? To his credit, Flair bumps around quite a lot for Kidman and everything Kidman does is on point, but neither man takes advantage of the no DQ rule. This is a standard one-on-one match with no referee, and what's more, there's no pin attempts at all. It ends with Konnan and Rey Mysterio hitting the ring to attack Flair. Big sexy Kevin Nash then shows up to help Flair, and Konnan takes a jackknife. Kidman goes to leave the arena, but Hulk Hogan then shows up and he brings Kidman back down to the ring. Kidman gets dragged out to safety by Konnan and Mysterio. Mike Awesome's music then plays, and for whatever reason, he hits the ring when 3 enemies are just waiting to attack him. Well, 2, seeing as Flair's having a break in the corner. Awesome takes a jackknife. Kevin Nash then says, the winner of this match due to outside interference is Mike Awesome. And I'm not even going to try to make sense of this statement. I don't know what's going on. I assume Kidman versus Flair is a no contest. So much for your New York rules matches. Absolute dog shit. Someone out there is going to defend this, I know. There's always people in the comments just waiting to defend the honour of shit wrestling. But this show already has me drained out, and I'm the guy who watches Raw and Nitro every week, plus pay-per-views for YouTube videos. We're only at the 35-minute mark of this episode of Thunder, and already I want to top out. Diamond Dallas Page versus Vampiro's up next. Another New York match. It sounds interesting enough on paper, but don't get your hopes up, because Sting attacks Vampiro during the entrances. We even see Sting getting himself in position for the surprise attack, using a black sheet to remain undetected. Fucking hell. Sting grabs a conveniently placed bucket of red liquid, and Vampiro takes a red liquid bath. Yep, that's what it is, it's only red liquid. Vampiro gets thrown in the ring, Dallas hits the cutter right away, and it's over. The only good thing to come out of this match is this shot right here. What a glorious waste of TV time. The babyfaces now have 3 victories, while the New Blood have 1. Russo's again shown backstage, and he's calling his team a bunch of losers. I mean, listen to this guy scream. Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! The babyfaces, meanwhile, they're having a great old time. So, you're Vince Russo in this predicament, your boys are getting completely wrecked and you've lost 3 out of 4 matches. You're going to send out one of your biggest, baddest dudes and you're going to manipulate the draw so you can claim an easy victory, right? I mean, you're fucking squealing backstage like a child about your team sucking balls. So what do? Well, Russo decides to send Mike Awesome to the ring. The same Mike Awesome who just got destroyed by Kevin Nash under 10 minutes ago. And Mike Awesome announces that he drew Sting's name out of Russo's big smelly boot. Great work, lads, great work. Sting wrecks Awesome during the opening moments of the match. Mike goes to the outside and he gets attacked by the Misfits in action. These guys were shit-canned on the previous episode of Nitro. The Misfits throw Awesome back in the ring. Sting hits 2 Stinger splashes. He applies the Scorpion Deathlock and Awesome taps out. It's a small nitpick here, but Russo didn't mention anything about submissions when talking about how a New York rules match plays out, but we'll ignore that. 2 minutes and 15 seconds, almost a whole 1.5 minutes longer than the DDP vs Vampiro match. These New Blood losers better get it together because Russo's plan has been absolutely shit so far. This is a job for Scotty Steiner. Big Papa Pump tells Russo not to touch him. He'll go out and have a match, but he isn't doing it for Vince, he's doing it for himself. Steiner comes out and he tells Hulk Hogan to get his ass in the ring. So much for drawing names. Old Mike Awesome got the short end of the stick, didn't he? Steiner says he and his freaks will visit Hogan's house after the match, and Big Linda's gonna call Scott the big bad booty daddy. This was one of the best things about this entire episode of Thunder. Out comes Hulk Hogan and Steiner doesn't get in a single piece of offense to start this one off. Absolutely nothing. The fight goes to the crowd where Hugh Morris shows up, and it becomes a 2-on-1 match. 2 babyfaces versus 1 heel, mind you. Scott does manage to hit a double low blow followed by a double clothesline. He calls for anyone from the New Blood to come out and help him, but no one shows up. When Hulk and Morris fight back and when it's made clear that Scott isn't winning, Big Papa Pump decides to just leave the ring. And that's how this match ends. I don't even know what I'm watching anymore, and why can't the New Blood win any matches? Why is this so one-sided? Another limo pulls up outside the arena. FUNB can be seen on the front plate. We'll see who gets out of the vehicle later on. Tag Team Champion Shane Douglas and Buff Bagwell take on Chronic next. Another New York match. And well, this one is actually mildly entertaining, and honestly, this is where a New York rules match could actually work, because you don't need to tag your opponent in, and your teammate has to perform the 3 count. This isn't a bad idea at all for a tag team match type, and if done with the right teams, it could be interesting. They don't do a terrible job here on Thunder either, but there isn't enough near falls. Chronic win the match, but they don't win the tag team titles, even though they take the belts after the match. Okay, Russo's plan completely backfired, almost to the point where the New Blood feel like sympathetic babyfaces. There's still 30 minutes left on this episode of Thunder, and WCW decide to just completely top out and put everyone in the ring for a battle royal. It's kinda like when you create a pay-per-view in a wrestling video game and you run out of ideas, so you just say, fuck it, battle royal, that'll pop a rating for sure. Before we go to the ring, a bus pulls up behind the limousine. Eric did talk about bringing in backup, so who's in the limo and who's in the bus? We'll find out in a moment. Eric Bischoff challenges the Millionaires Club and their buddies to step in the ring for a big old hardcore fight, and Ric Flair says that'll only happen if it's a battle royal with the winner getting a world title shot. Bischoff and Russo agree, so we have ourselves a hardcore battle royal, and look at this, just look. Bischoff said before the bout it was 11 New Blood versus 11 babyfaces, but 41 guys end up getting involved in this match, and what's more, it takes ages for guys to start getting eliminated, so you're watching guys trying to find space while throwing punches. And yeah, this is generally what happens in all battle royals, but they drag this out for so long that it makes you wonder, why did they rush through the earlier matches? In the middle of the battle royal, the Mamalukes and the Harris brothers join the fight. Harlem Heat's music then plays, and then you remember that this is WCW in 2000. It's Stevie Ray and Ahmed Johnson, not Stevie Ray and Booker T. Cash is also here, and so's Norman Smiley. He must have become an honorary member of Harlem Heat Incorporated for this episode of Thunder. And just look at the state of this now, Jesus Christ. Tank Abbott then comes down, people start getting eliminated, but it's not happening quick enough. There's still no room for guys to do anything at all. Medusa, Asia and Mona get involved. Hacksaw Jim Duggan runs down to do some damage. And then the guy from the limousine steps out and he begins heading to the ring. And It's the Macho Man Randy Savage. I know, right? How dare I shit on an episode of Thunder that has the return of Randy Savage? Well, don't you think there'd be a much better way to use Savage than have him get involved in this absolute mess of a match? And this is also Randy's final WCW appearance. What a way to go out in the clusterfuck battle royal. He hits 9 double axe handles. And then he exits the ring via the middle rope to fight on the outside. And that's the Macho Man's involvement completely done with. He doesn't get back inside the ropes until after the match. Bret Hart then shows up and he clocks Hogan on the back with a chair. Hulk rolls under the bottom rope and he too doesn't get back in the ring. I then started questioning if this battle royal wasn't actually over the top rope, but it was. Savage and Hogan were the only guys who didn't go over the top. It comes down to Flair and Shane Douglas. Vince Russo runs down to hit Flair with a bat, but he ends up hitting the franchise. The cameras completely miss this. Flair chases Russo out of the ring, he hits Douglas, and Flair wins the Battle Royal and he wins a title shot. Another loss for the New Blood. On the outside of the ring, Bischoff hits Hogan with a bat, but this too is missed by the cameras. What's going on? For whatever reason, Kidman covers Hogan and Bischoff counts to 3. I'm not even gonna question it anymore. DDP and Jeff Jarrett fight on the entranceway scaffold. David Arquette is supposed to come out and hit Jarrett with the guitar, but he fucking falls through the gimmick stage floor. You couldn't make this up. The commentators pretend he was never there and the cameras quickly cut over to Randy Savage helping Hulk Hogan. Clearly the show was supposed to end with the big bump off the scaffold, but since Arquette fell through the fucking floor, they just cut to Jeff Jarrett standing on the stage, and then the show fades to black.
And DDP and Jarrett continue their battle!
So the show did have Randy Savage, Bret Hart, and Scott Steiner saying Linda Hogan's gonna call him the big bad booty daddy. I'll give it that much, but my god, what a train wreck. I feel annoyed that I watched this show. I feel tired after watching this show. I've wasted time scripting this upload, gathering clips, double checking that Arquette actually fell through the floor. I wanted to watch some absolutely awful wrestling and I definitely got what I asked for. So that was the first episode of WCW Blunder. I hope you enjoyed it. I've got a list of episodes, matches and promos I'm going to cover, but if there's anything you want covered in this little mini-series, then please let me know. This isn't going to run long, it's just a side project that I think could be fun, and there'll maybe only be 2 episodes a month, maybe less, maybe I'm feeling particularly awful about myself and I'll do 3, but let me know what WCW blunders that you want to see, and remember guys, please check the channel because I may have covered your request already. Thanks for watching episode 1, avoid this episode of Thunder at all costs, and take care.